Hey guys, Jeremy here at My Way MFG. I'm going to try to get this axle kind of mocked up under here today and get it all squared up and get my ride height set and all of that. The cross member that came with the axle that went in that frame didn't seem like it was going to work too good. I think it would have put me too high in the air in the front. I found this laying around here. This is a trailer hitch. If it's strong enough to hold a trailer tongue, it should be strong enough to hold this, I'm thinking. And this cross piece right here, I'm thinking is probably going to be just about right. And it has a hole in the center of it, so it'll be easy for me to line it up and get my leaf spring centered. So anyway, I'm going to get this all unbolted and get all the excess off of it. The thing that's screwing me up here, and it has been kind of since the beginning, these frame rails that I used, just something I had laying around, they never were long enough. Remember, I put the angle iron extensions on to catch the parallel leaf springs? That was going to be fine for a yard ornament. But now I'm actually thinking I might drive this around town a little bit, 20 mile an hour or so. And well, these aren't long enough to catch this transverse spring either. So I got to build something pretty substantial here to, we're not going to have a 10-second race car, but if I'm going down the road at 20 mile an hour here in town, I'd rather not have that break off. So we're going to figure out a good way to do this, and it'll all be fine. Let's get started. It's going to be fine. I got that hitch piece all stripped down. Really can't ask for a better fit. That locating pin on the center of the leaf spring fits right in that hole. And at the present moment, I don't know if I need to put it like this, going down, or flip it over and get it up. And with this setting on these jack stands back here, it's hard to tell where that spring is going to depress to and what the ride height's going to end up being. I think right now I'm just going to tack this in place with a couple decent tack welds. Loosely put these U-clamps on this spring and let the weight down on it once and just see where I'm at with it. That'll give me an idea of how far all this is going to move. And then we can come up with our final plan. Got some welds on the front there, and I got the weight down on that axle. That's what our ride height looks like. I'm not going to change that. That looks really good to me. Looks really good. That was just the first place I put it, you know. yeah. So anyway, right now I've gotten just some stitch welds on here. This side here, I've got it welded all the way around to that spindly piece of angle iron. And I've just cleaned the edges up, and I'm getting ready to cut some pieces here. I'm gonna completely box this in and weld all the way around everything. And then I'll cut this angle iron off at the front. And then when I cap this off, I'm also gonna use that cap for a gusset and come down and gusset this brace. So we're gonna be strong. We're not gonna be breaking in the street. At least I'm hoping. I generally don't worry about my welds too much because I can't remember ever having a weld break, even when I was young. And it's not because I'm an expert welder. By all means, I'm not. If you want to learn to weld, watch a different video. But what I do, I just watch out for undercutting. I make sure my welds are burned in good on the edges, because if they're not burned in good on the edges, they're not burned in good anywhere. So as long as the edges are burned in good, I usually assume they're pretty good welds. And so far I've gotten lucky like that. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going here. I've been tracing those pieces for the front end off of this old section of car frame. Right here, I can't get my grinder in. I'm gonna have to finish off with a sawzall. We'll get that out of there and carry it over there and see how it fits. This wasn't an ideal way to do all this. If I would have known I was going to try to make this drive back in the beginning when it was just going to be a yard ornament, I would have started out a little differently. My biggest problem, of course, was these frame rails weren't long enough to reach to the front. I've got them extended and boxed in, but I didn't have any more of the 2x3 tubing. I cut some C-channel off of that spring cross member, and I think it was 2x2. I just kind of centered it up and welded up the gaps. This trailer hitch piece, it's setting on top of the angle iron, and then them new extension pieces are notched around it, and then that's all welded all the way around. And then the center piece to the old spring mount, I put it back in there on top of the, sandwiched in on top of the trailer hitch, put the U-bolts back on. I made these paper patterns for the ends, and I'm just going to box this in. I've got that side done, front and the top, and I'm hoping that's strong enough, you know, hoping it's strong enough. So I just cut the other one. Where did I put it? piece right here. So we'll get that on there like that, get it all shaped up, and we'll do the top, overlap these frame extensions, and then make it some kind of radiator support to go back on here. And I don't know if this will go back on or not. Maybe. I'll have to hold it up there and see how it looks, you know. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it right now. I think the way I done this is pretty good. I just wish these frame rails had reached out to it, you know. That would be the weak point. But I imagine if I do put an engine in this, it'll probably be in the back, you know. I get it close to the back axle, so I won't have as many belts and jack shafts and stuff, you know. It'll be more direct, so there's never going to be a whole lot of weight up here. But anyway, let's keep going here. One of the reasons I say about putting the motor in the back, I know a lot of you, when you heard me say that just now, was probably thinking, why wouldn't you just put a pulley on the end of the drive shaft and put the motor up front? Now, here's that torque tube drive shaft. And if you watched the very first video, Grandpa had built this cart to pull behind a tractor. That's what the back of this is made out of. And on the drive shaft, he had welded piece on top and bottom for a tongue to put a hitch pin through. Well, when I started building this, I just took a piece of 2x3, ran it between my frame rails through his tongue that he'd built on the end of the drive shaft, then I welded that in there. So that's how I did it. I was just going to make a yard ornament, you know. Well, I was going to have to move this cross member in order to get back onto that drive shaft, but I was willing to do that. The trouble was I could stick my finger back in there and I couldn't feel the drive shaft. Well, I thought maybe he'd cut it off with a hacksaw or something, and if I cut the tube back, I could find it and then weld a bearing or something on there, and then weld a pulley to it, do whatever I had to do. Well, the other day I got to thinking, and if he'd have cut that off with a hacksaw, it would have been flush. I should have been able to feel it with my finger. I looked back in there, he's pulled the drive shaft out of it, got a rag stuck back in the torque tube, so if the tongue was sitting down on the ground, the oil wouldn't run out. But anyway, there's no drive shaft in there. Puts me in a situation where I can't really use that rear end. So I think what I'm gonna have to do, and once again, it's not ideal, but I'm gonna have to just put a pulley on one of the rear wheels, run it off of that. That's all I can do. But one thing that did work out was down underneath here where that cross member's at, and that tongue hooks on. Well, my front wishbones reached at, so I'm gonna be able to weld them right onto that same cross member. So that puts everything mounted to the same cross member right in the middle of the frame. So I do like that. That worked out nicely. I just got the C-clamps on there for now. Got my next piece cut here for the top, getting ready to put it on. Once again, I cut it out of the car frame. I'm not going to put a back on this. I think just a front and a top with that hitch being sandwiched in there and stuff. I think that's good enough. However, this does have a roll on the back of it, so you know that kind of helps. I think keeps it straight anyway. So we'll get this in here, get one cut up for the other side. Got it laying there. And then other than just finishing off some welds, I think we're getting pretty well done up front other than a radiator mount. I wouldn't want anyone stumbling across this channel for the very first time and watching this video and thinking that this would be okay to do to a car that you was going to drive on the street. Things would have to be a little better than this, you know, but this isn't going to be a licensed vehicle if you're new here. And basically what we got going on, it's way stronger than a go-kart, but probably not quite as good as a car. But that's basically what this is. It's somewhere in between. So anyway, it's looking nice. It all looks symmetrical and right. Let's get these next two pieces in and stand back and kind of look at it. I think while I'm at it, I had the distance between the two headlights a little far apart. I'm going to cut some out of there and bring that in just a little bit too. And then we'll get you guys back in here and just kind of see what everything looks like from the front. Got that cross member in and all welded up. I think it turned out pretty nice. Anyway, I'm going to modify this bottom radiator piece and see if we can get this radiator reattached at the bottom. And yeah, go from there. Need to find the center of this crank hole. Right there. The radiator's 20 inches wide, so if we went 10 inches from center on each side, got that flange bent up, and it'll tuck in behind the upright on that radiator shell, and I'll get it attached right there with something or another. And this was wider. I think I'm just going to go ahead and screw the hood to it, or attach it too. I don't think I need it opening, you know. So I think I'll just leave this extra long here, and it'll give me something. At least it'd be something for it to close against, you know. But like I say, I think the motor's going in back. I didn't ever attach them sides in any way because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. But at this present moment, I'm thinking that's going to get attached down there. Anyway, keep going here. Alright, got that all welded in on the sides. Then I took some of that round rod that I had stripped off the fence over there, and I just made a frame going up here to this headlight bar. I'll get 2 more short pieces of that up here, and then the whole radiator will have the round rod around the perimeter, you know. I got to cut these corners off right here. I'll get a grinder in there and get them. But I think this looks better. It I don't know if you guys remember what that looked like before when I had the 2x4 and stuff down there. Now that doesn't look like a Model T, but it does look like an old car. It just gives it a lot more of a finished off, more substantial look, you know. So I'm gonna get the rest of the round rods in. I'm gonna take and move each headlight in 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna cut 3 inches out of that bar and weld it back together. I think that's gonna put our headlights about right. And then I was looking down here on the ground earlier when I was cutting these pieces here. I inadvertently made 2 Model T radiator mounts. Here's the other one. So we'll get those on there. And then yeah man, we're gonna be ready to go to town here pretty soon. Get our favorite girl in there and go for a ride, you know. You'd never get a girl in that thing. 100 years ago, maybe they would all thought it was peachy. I was looking in this drawer for a tool I thought I had, and I don't see it anywhere, but I do know I have one somewhere. I'm just gonna have to keep looking. I thought it was in here. The tool I was talking about is like it's a reamer that you put in a drill, and it'll ream out a tapered hole. I tried this tie rod here that came off my 2015 F-150. This will go in there, but not very far. If I could get that tapered reamer in there from the bottom and ream that hole out, it would most likely make that to where I could get that in there. I took these off the truck and there wasn't anything wrong with them, and I'm thinking I could put them together. I would have adjustment here. I could weld a pipe or whatever I needed. I got the other one. I could weld a sleeve between the 2 of them and have some pretty decent tie rods if I could get that hole to work. Because right now this has just got bolts run through here with these things. That's not any good. But that would actually make it reasonably pretty good, you know. I'll find that tool somewhere. I've seen it lately. I just don't know where I've seen it, you know. But anyway, I'm picking up my tools right now. You have to have all these crazy tools to get this stuff done. This is all I had out here. But there's a sawzall, a grinder, a drill, flapper disc, and a cutoff wheel, some squares and snips and wrenches. The welder's the only thing of any value I've really really using. Jack, a couple jack stands. Really don't need all that much to get this stuff done. A garage would be nice. Kind of sucks working in the yard. Hot out today. But anyway, you guys have been paying attention. Might notice this is a blue shirt. I started the video in a white shirt. Well, I've been out here for just about 2 days, so I'm gonna go in for now. I might get one more day in before I post a video. I'm not sure, or maybe this will be the end of it. But anyway, let's turn around here and look at what we did get done. And then I'm tired. I'm gonna go in and take a bath. Got this thing looking pretty good. I think the front end looks better than it ever has, and it feels good. If I grab a hold of the hood here, that's solid. It's just like any car should be, and everything just feels right and tight, you know. It feels really good. So I'm real happy with that. As soon as we get the steering hooked up, I think we're pretty good. And my friend Terry, he's the one that brought me that 19-inch Model A wheel. He's got a steering wheel that he's going to give me, come off a 46, 7, 8 Ford. And I think he's also giving me a steering box. You know, it's got the column and shaft already made on it. That might be easier to use here. But I've got the other one too with the rag joint. We'll use one or the other. And probably those tie rods if I can find that reamer tool. And that 46 steering wheel, 48 steering wheel, whatever it is. Looks nothing like a Model T steering wheel. I know that, but it looks like an old steering wheel. And it'll be probably, I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's weathered and crusty, so that's good, right? That's what we want. Speaking of weathered and crusty, I was on Marketplace last night. 2 Model T front fenders, pristine condition, $25 each. So I gave $50 for those 2 fenders. And you know, I was going to make some out of round rod and water heater skins and stuff, but these will save me a heck of a lot of work, and they'll look better. They'll look a lot better, but they are bent all to shit. And by the time I get these things straightened out and beat out and the dents out of them, they're going to be full of hammer marks everywhere, which is exactly what we want. So those are going to work great. Yeah, this is all just about as solid as any real car, I'm thinking. And if we take a measurement here, let me get a tape measure out. Those fenders are only like 20 miles away, Farmington, Illinois. 20 miles away. I gave $50 for them. Pretty happy with that find. If I measure off this axle perch bolt on both sides, where the U-clamp goes around the rear axle, to the center of the front kingpins, .109 5/8. .109 7/8. So 109 5/8, 109 7/8. So we're off, what's that, 1/4 inch? And I might be able to make that up. I haven't got the whatchamajigger, trailing arms, wishbones. I haven't got the wishbones attached yet. So if I could, well, we got a 1/4 inch variance. It needs to twist maybe 1/8 inch one way or the other. If not, I ain't gonna worry about it, because you're never gonna notice a 1/4 inch, especially in this. So Anyway, guys, I don't know if it does it for this video, but it's going to do it for today. So you're either going to see me film an ending after this segment, or maybe I'll do more, but I don't even know yet. So how could anyone else, right? Anyway, pretty happy with the progress, and everything is feeling really solid. It looks better too. Anyway, guys, next morning, rain last night. Everything out here today is wet. I think it's supposed to rain again here pretty soon, so that kind of made my decision for me. I think I'm gonna do something else today. I did find that reamer that I was looking for. So maybe we can take that hole out a little bit, get those to work. The whole idea behind doing all of this was so I could get it to steer. At the present moment, it will not. The whole time I've been dragging this axle around and moving it, those wheels have been kind of like this, and I've never seen them move. Something's locked up here. And I wouldn't think it would be the kingpins. They should be full of grease, at least one would think. It's probably these joints they got on the end of the tie rods. We'll get them knocked out of there, and hopefully we can see some movement on them spindles, you know. But probably the next video is going to be trying to locate the steering box and the shaft and just getting all this hooked up, you know. So I don't know if that'll be the next video on this, but might be. But we'll continue on with something. And a little update on the garage. I think at this present time, things can change, you know. But right now it's looking like we're planning on getting the concrete in September. So I sure would like to see that done. And I'm going to continue on with a lot of this other smaller stuff, you know, deck supports and siding and things like that in the meantime. But not going to get done this year, but we might have the concrete in it. So that's good, right? But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. 4th of July is tomorrow. And a couple years ago, this young guy around here, he's my son's age, blew his hand off with a half stick of dynamite or something he was playing with. So try not to blow your fingers off. That'd be good, right? But anyway, have a safe weekend, everybody. Happy 4th of July. And I'll catch you on the next one. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Later. Jeremy.